All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm back. I'm back with Emma Lyons this time, and we are going to talk about "You're Not Broke, Just Blocked." We just had a great, pre discussion, right? We preempted this conversation to make sure that we can give you some real point of views on some things that are keeping us blocked. And I'm going to introduce myself, and then Emma will introduce herself. Make sure you share this live. Put in the comments that you're listening. If you are on the replay, feel free to hashtag replay. We love that too. We love to see that you are still here. And my name is Allegra, and I'm the marketing medulla. I'm a business coach and marketing strategist and a business analyst. And I absolutely love to support women entrepreneurs and small corporations to make sure that you start, grow, and scale your business. Now, this includes things such as business planning and making sure you have your marketing strategies in place, because your marketing plan is part of your business plan. But you got to strategize that thing. You got to make sure that you know exactly who you're speaking to, when, and why, and also know how to get to the money. Now, I always say, get to the bag, and a lot of people don't like that nowadays, but your business needs money to actually flourish. Like, you cannot run a business if it is not making money. And so that is my job, to make sure that you're constantly looking for the money that is being left on the table. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Emma, and then we'll get the conversation rolling.
Well, hey everyone. Hey Allegra. Thanks so much. Very excited about this conversation because we did have a great pre conversation, I have to say. So, my name is Emma Lyons, and I work with business women and entrepreneurs as well. And what I do is I help them to clear those inner glitches and blocks that stop them from having the success from all the great strategies and tools that people like that Allegra shares. When you kind of we keep bumping up against, resistance and self sabotage. That's where I step in to really get to the root of it, clear that out, so that you can really rise to your full potential, and all those amazing strategies can start working for you. So our message here on this live is that, if you're feeling stuck, this very likely it could be what's going on for you. So stick around because we're going to give you some great tools and strategies and talk about how you can really get to the other side of all of that.
I love it every time, because Emma, what you do is so important for people to even do the work in their business. When I think about something you said earlier, and we're going to talk about that and elaborate it here today, is working smarter, not harder. And I'm just like, that is a mindset in itself, right? Because I don't believe in hard work. And I can't say that that was always the case. I'm, thinking about it and really digging deep, because we live in a society that teaches us how to work really hard. And we're taught from a very young age how to work really hard, especially here in the US. I don't know if they do that in the UK like that, Emma, but in the US, we live in a capitalist system, and they want you to work, honey. And when I say work, they will put you on overtime and not pay you. Okay. And so there's some things that I believe, when it comes to working hard, that we as women need to kind of reevaluate, look and see how that actually affects us, because I don't believe that I was ever created to do things the hard way. I believe that life is easy. I do believe that life is what you make it. And when you have a perspective that is so clear and so concise to you having an easy flowing lifestyle, then you can start to do things easier in every area of your life, whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically. And that's going to improve your access to things in your career and your business. And so I want to talk about that a little bit today, because Emma, you mentioned something, and you were like, let's talk about this, because it's not the same for everyone. Some people do not believe that life, that working hard is not a thing, and they think that that has to be the case, that you have to work hard for what you want, and that in order for you to get whatever that next goal is, whatever that new level is, that you have to work really, really, really hard to get there. And that is totally, for me, against what I have been doing for the last, what I want to say, 7 or 8 years in business at least. So and I've been thriving, whatever challenges, whatever has happened. And so I want to talk about that and see where all of you are coming from. So as we're speaking, make sure you drop your comments, tell us your experiences, and we love to hear and help you. But go ahead, Emma, what were you referring to when you said that?
Well, I think there is a culture of Yeah, like you said, it's a kind of capitalist thing that you got to work hard in order to be successful. You got to work hard for money. That's what we're told as children, and that's what so many of us take on. We got to work hard for money. But when you look around and see the people who are making the most money out there, they are actually the people that are working the least. So this is a total myth. And I've been there working hard. I've done the working hard thing, and it really didn't work out for me because I was working out doing wonder lots of people. This is one of the things that you've got this sabotage. You're blocked. If you're out there, you're working really hard. You're doing all the strategies. You're following Allegra's strategy. You're following this strategy. You're doing the funnel. You're really busy. You're working hard and nothing is really coming together. That's a classic sign that there's some inner stuff going on. Because, like Allegra said, it's not about how hard you work, it's about the energy that you bring to it. Because you could be, on showing up on social media, doing all the things all the time. But if you're not showing up with that energy, with the self belief and confidence in yourself, and with all that behind it, none of that stuff is going to really connect. I mean, you do all the networking, you can talk to people all you want, but you're not going to be able to connect with your audience and create the success. So success is really an in job. It's not it's not about the strategies. It's like that song, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. And this is something that I think a lots of people, including myself for a long time, miss. And we're trying to work our way to success. We're trying to struggle I know I've done that. And I just ended up really frustrated, really disappointed, and feeling a lot worse than when I started out, to be honest.
Emma, I think that you are just kind of leading the way
I don't
in
know,
this
was I breaking
conversation.
up there? Is there something going on with the stream? Let me
It it might be my connection. Hold on, y'all, because for some reason,
It
I
might be
just got
my
off alive. Okay, let me see. Am I? Mm,
I think the problem should be
okay,
fixed
I
now.
wonder.
So, yeah.
Is it me? Okay, I'm back.
How
I
much of
think.
that I think it was my connection, but I think we're back now. We're back.
Okay, so we're back. Okay. So we were just basically kind of leaning towards the whole, like, Emma, you sharing that, definitely people think that you do have to work hard. You have past experiences with that. This is stuff that's in our nervous system, y'all. Like, it's in our nervous
Yeah.
system. I remember getting into a lot of, okay, so let's talk about this. Where are you thinking that you should work hard in? Because one of the areas that I think about, Emma, is that for me, I was very, ambitious as a child, right? I wanted a lot in the world, like any kid. You don't know what you want to do, but you know that the world is beyond you, right? You're like, oh, there's so much out there. And depending on your experiences as a child, that either broadens your horizons or shortens it. And I remember being in my mother's care, right? My mom being this ambitious, hardworking woman that I saw being in these high positions of power, right? Because of course, in the 80s, where I was born, that was really the era that we talked about, Emma, where women just started to really get into the work field and really understand their independence, right? Like, we even talked about how we still are struggling around understanding money because we just a few years ago, like, we just started to learn how to use money, and that wasn't always available to us. So I'm thinking, when I was young, my mom being this career driven individual, and I saw her run a daycare for 7 years, and I saw her, but the whole time, right? And this is what we were talking about yesterday. I said, Mom, do you know that you taught me throughout my life to work really hard for what I want, to use the resources, but at the same time, but just to like climb the corporate ladder and to and to ask for the raises all the time, and all these different things that I practice, right? And here's the thing, there would be times where I would work in someone's, and this is why I had to leave the workforce, because I did not like people telling me what to do. Number one, I couldn't stand it. And I was like, and especially if you did not know more than I did, or if you didn't have more expertise or skill, I was like, this didn't make any sense. You're getting paid more than me. You're telling me what to do. That's dumb. Okay. So I had to debunk that in my life, because that's just not the life I wanted to live. But once I realized that the workforce was basically that, the workforce, like they make you work so that they can get their results. It doesn't matter how hard that is for you. It doesn't matter how it looks for you. And I remember there were times where I would be called in, days off, overtime, all these different things. I would never really get the rewards that I expected. And so I would feel very like, dang, I work hard for this, and I'm not really getting the results. And so I had to start reevaluating that. Like, is working hard really worth it? And one of the things that I started to learn through my mentors, right? Because when you go to school, y'all, you learn a lot. That's why I say go to school so you can learn for yourself, not necessarily just for the degree. Learn for yourself, because through the professors and the mentors and the people that I met, they taught me things. Like, they taught me things about the fact that what Emma just said, there are people in high places that make a lot of money and they live great lives, and they do not work hard. They do not work hard. Now, most of these people that I know are men. So that's another thing, because a lot of times as women, we just have not gotten we haven't gotten it yet, because we're so used to, oh, you got to take care of the kids, you got to take care of your parents, you got to take care of this, you got to cook, you got to clean, you got to take care of the house, you got to take care of your husband. Like, all of these things are put on our plate where we are working hard in every area of our lives, and I got tired of seeing that. And so I think through my experience, Emma, I think that what happened was that I needed a different way, because I got burned out in life. Like, I got burnt out. I was like, this is a lot. Like, to be this person, to have to serve everyone and then have a business and then serve everyone else, that's a lot. And so finding ways to work smarter and not harder, that was my cup of tea. That's when I was like, whoa, wait, how do I do this? And so I started asking questions. I started watching people, like the mentors, like the men in my life, like the people who were not, just letting things happen to them, but just really taking control over the fact that, yeah, this is not working for me. So let me get a different job that's going to pay me what I want and give me what I deserve. Like, that was just one small avenue of me taking control, of saying, I don't want a job that's going to work me hard. I want a job that I could kind of sit down, relax, and then get paid well for. And that's going to get me to my goals quicker. And that was definitely work, but I didn't work hard to get those jobs either. Most of those jobs that I received from, this is why I tell people, if you want to go back to work and if you find it is hard finding a job, that's on you. Because whenever I go to find a job, I look for the job I want. I walk in the front door and I ask for the position, right? But most people, they're like, oh, I got to go on LinkedIn, or I got to go apply for monster.com, and I got to go on Indeed, and I got to apply for all these jobs, and hopefully somebody will get back to me. Let me tell you why you are waiting so long for someone to get back to you, because someone else walked in that front door and got the job. Because someone else was more ambitious and more forthright in saying, I don't want to work that hard. I'm just going to go in and ask for the position. And that is how I got most of my jobs. Now, I will still tell you that, today I was talking to a client this last week, and I said, you feel very unfortunate to be having to go back into the workforce, but it's because you don't know how to use it properly. Anytime you're in the workforce and you feel like, you don't want to be there again, get everything you need while you're there now. Set yourself up for a deadline. I'm going to be here for 6 months. In this 6 months, these are things I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to network with these people. I'm going to have to, make sure that I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? Wise with my money. I'm not just going to save and spend. I'm going to invest, right? Like, these are areas that I had to grow in and understand about working smarter, not harder. But it's not easy. It's not easy to just jump from working hard and having that in your nervous system and then going, oh, okay, I'll just go walk into a job and just get it. That's different. And that takes learning. It takes being around people that are going to teach you how to do that. And it takes you releasing control over that idea that you have to work hard.
Uh, I think we just need to drop the mic there because Allegra, what you said is so good. It's really, really good. That's exactly what's going on. We think that we have to be in control. And we think as women that, it's got to be perfect and we got to do this and we got to do that. And so many women are out there being super busy. But as you know, Allegra, being busy doesn't mean that you're productive. And, you can be doing an awful lot of busy work and still not get anything done. So I think that's where lots of us get a bit stuck. And also this idea that we kind of need to feel that we're working hard in order to deserve the money that comes to us. So there's that there as well that creates a bit of resistance. And that stops a lot of people. It stopped me for a long time as well. This idea that, because what I do is so easy for me, I don't really deserve to get paid for it. It needs to be something that's why they call it work, right? That's what they say. It's called work, not fun and play and flow and ease, right? So that's a very much an ingrained idea that, work is not fun. And then you have your playtime after that. And, that's one system that you can live by, but there is an alternative. And that option, the doors to that kind of open up when you become your own boss. But it's also a huge, I think it's the biggest kind of personal development boot camp out there because, if you want to be successful in your own business and, be in that state of flow, you have got to commit to releasing that resistance and to working on yourself so that you can get into that space of flow and can relax. And we're back to that other R word, receive. And this the thing, receiving doesn't require work, it requires just opening yourself up and allowing and being able to receive the clients that are there, the people that are looking for exactly what you do, and you're the answer to their prayers, right? But if you're out there working hard, maybe you're going to have your head down and they're not going to see you, they're not going to notice you. So I think that's a huge problem for lots of people, a problem that they don't even know that they have. And we get stuck in this struggle spiral. And what you said, Allegra, is so smart. There is a lot of shame that we can have if we need to kind of go back to work for financial reasons. And I resisted it for a long time too. But sometimes that's what you need to do in order for you to get yourself into that flow state so that you can relax. You can use that as a kind of jumping off point to start receiving more in your business and start allowing more, because we do have a different money ceiling. A lot of people, we believe that work making money in your business is hard, and having a job is the way to make money. And if you have those beliefs going on in the subconscious, you're going to struggle making that money in your own business. And that's why people, maybe they're doing very well in their work when they have a job, and then when they start running their business, they find out there's a huge disparity with how much they earn.
Mm.
Sure, when you're an entrepreneur, you can earn a lot more, but if you have the beliefs running in the background that, should be hard, or, whatever that voice says, that can really keep the ceiling lower than maybe you were earning previously.
Yeah, but um, people are not working less hard in their job than they are in their business. They're doing the same things. Like they're working just that hard at somebody's job. Is they're mimicking it when they get into business, right? And I say it all the time. And that's why when you said yourself, Emma, that you have to kind of reset, like putting yourself back in a 9 to 5 and just saying, hey, I'm going to reset and I'm going to find out how to work this thing while I'm here, how to master myself while I'm here. That's one of the things that I love. We do a room Actually, I have it in the business mastery membership, where a lot of my members can go back and listen to these replays we did. But for like months, we did a room, how to extra 9 to 5 and start a business. Now it's called how to extra 9 to 5 mentality, because a lot of the times we're in these workspaces and we're not even training ourselves to think differently, to reset the nervous system, to say like, what do I need to do where I'm at right now so that I can be better when I leave this job? Because if you like some of the examples that I remember, and you are so right, Emma, like there's so much shame around this thing called a job, right? I call it a job. I used to make fun of it. I used to be like, oh no, that's just over broke. I'm not going back to no job, right? But we got to really assess this. Now I call it corporate dollars, because at the end of the day, I get to use their corporate dollars to fund my corporation. And I don't look at it as me going back as an employee. I look at it as me going into someone's business and learning from them and understanding what their business model and their process looks like. And how do I benefit from making the connections and networking with people here? How do I master building relationships here at my 9 to 5, so that when I leave here, I can be better in my business? And one of those things that happened when I was working for a Fortune 500 company in Atlanta, Georgia. And I remember where I was just really on my thing, right? Like I was out there trying to just work myself to the bone. So I'm like, let me get into this space. And I realized very quickly that being in corporate spaces, that they were going to work you. They are going to work you. They're going to, and they're not really going to give you that. Like, you have to earn your way. Sometimes people get really like super competitive in these corporate jobs. And so it actually trains you to work even harder, because you're like, oh, I got to work harder. I got to work harder. But here's what I learned. And this is why I think that sometimes you have to just really lean into what you know and what you feel as a woman, rather than what people are teaching you, because the job in the workforce and that the industries that we're in are male dominated and they're male created. So if we go into these spaces, we have to understand where we lie in ourselves and how we feel about it, and go that direction. And that's kind of what I remember doing. I worked for that Fortune 500 company, and I did the same thing I did at one of the radio stations I worked for too, Radio Atlanta, huge radio station. And Kathy Hughes was the CEO for a very long time. And I met her one time. I remember that. And my whole point was, how can I be the one that gets into the seat where most people want to be? Well, it's all about who you know. So if I sit in my company and no one in my company, the directors, the manager partners, the VPs, if no one knows who I am, then I will never be able to really get in a position of power. And so a lot of times we shy away from that, and we think, if I put my head down and if I work really hard, then they'll notice me, to your point, Emma. But they'll never notice you until you put yourself in position to be seen. And so that was, for me, that was a smart work. I remember, and I'll give y'all an example, and I talked about this in the room yesterday too. But I remember going into offices of the vice presidents and the managing partners, the accountant department, right, the sales department. I went to all of the heads. And I was like, hey, listen, I know I'm only in admin. I know I'm only in marketing, right? I know I'm only in that department, but I want to understand how this business works. And this is part of a project I'm doing. Do you mind if I interview you? And they'd be like, interview me? I'd be like, yeah, do you mind if I interview you? And they'd be like, absolutely. By the time I got through all my interviews, y'all, I had a whole book of stories of people and how they got to where they were. And guess what? I was able to look at that and say, well, how do I mimic some of these practices that they put in place? Now, most of the times we pay for thousands and thousands of dollars just to get someone to teach us how they got to where they are. But yet and still, I was right there in a 9 to 5 space with people who were already pretty much where I wanted to be at some point. And I was like, well, let me just ask them. And that is what got me into places and spaces that most people were working really hard to get to. And I saw that happen a lot, right? And sometimes we don't really think about that. If you're working that hard in your 9 to 5, it's gonna actually do the same thing in your business. So practice, and this is what I would say for everyone. In your 9 to 5 space, or even if you are not, even if you're just like, full-time entrepreneur, start practicing your ability to connect with people in higher, powerful positions and relate to them, and start building character, that can match theirs. Because a lot of times we attract who we are. And so that's what we look at as like hard work, but it's not, it's smart work. Because if you're working on yourself, It's so smart that it's going to make you a better person overall in your life, and you're going to be much happier. People will be happier around you, right? You'll see things differently. Your paradigm will change, so the world becomes bigger and more afloat for you. But if you don't work on those things and you feel like it's too hard, then you will be working a lot harder trying to get to those goals by doing the same thing that Emma said, by keeping your head down and actually like, okay, I'm just going to do what they tell me to do. And I just don't believe in that. So that's kind of where my story lies. And Emma, I don't know if you have a take on that, but I believe that a lot of us need to just start where we are.
I think it's yeah, you really just drop the mic again. I agree with everything that you said. There is so much shame around, what if you want to be an entrepreneur. I know I resisted going back to work for a long time, even though I really needed to. And it meant that I was kind of coming to my work here with a kind of struggle mindset. So, and that's the wrong energy to be bringing, particularly to the work that I do. If you're coming to it from that, even in the background, it's this kind of struggle vibe. It's really hard to show up powerfully, and it's so true. We can use putting your head down is not and working hard. It's not going to get that far, because that's what a lot of people are doing. That's what everyone is doing. So we've got to kind of stand up and shine more so than kind of go down and hide and put your head down and hide. And that's easy to do, but it's not going to get you if you're ambitious and you want to rise. Then you've got to show up and be seen, and not carry all that shame. I mean, for years I carried so much shame around who I was, what I was doing, what I wasn't doing, and it was that very shame that was blocking my ability to step forward and to show up differently and to really serve people in a deeper and more meaningful way.
Hmm. That's pretty deep, Emma. I think there's just so many layers to it, because there's just so many things that we experience. Um, something kind of hit me, but I now I can't remember what it was, because when you were speaking, I was like, dang, like this is something that we all experience at some point in time or another. Um, when it comes down to shame, embarrassment, and I'll repeat this because it's something we said, I think, in the beginning: self-sabotaging behaviors.
Yeah.
That's why the work that you do is so important. Because when I think about some of the things that I had to really bring to light for myself, I had people help me with that. I didn't do that alone. It wasn't
Mm.
like like, oh, aha moment. Go ahead, Allegra. Let me tell you, my mother, even though she was a hard worker, she's very intelligent. So sometimes we as women tend to know what to do, but don't do it, right? So
Oh yeah.
even though she, right? So we like, I would watch her work really, really hard, and I'd be like, dang, that's a lot. Like, okay. But then she would tell me something that would make sense, as far as like, but you don't have to work hard. You can work smart, resource yourself, ask for help. And I'll be like, that's weird because you don't ask for help, right? Like you're telling me to do something that I don't see you doing. And I think a lot of us grew
Yeah.
up like that. A lot of us as women grew up watching a parent or a figure say something that they were doing the total opposite of. And it's okay because we're just human. Like, we're all flawed. But at the same time, if you're wise, right, if you start to think like, okay, well, this person really is telling me something that I probably should listen to, then kind of try it out, right? And I remember my mother telling me things like, be resourceful, ask for help, and then I would be like, what should I do? And she'd be like, oh, you need to get with someone who knows how to do that, so that they can teach you how to do that, and then you know how to do it now. And I'm like, that makes sense, right? Or if I don't have knowledge about something, I'm not going to sit there and be frustrated and be like, oh God, I got to take this, I got to figure it out now by myself. And I got to, like people do, like we go, we have a new system or software and go, oh God, I got to figure it out. So we feel like it's going to take 50 million years to get that, new system understood, when you could just get someone to teach you how to do it. And for what that means, it could mean you paying someone, or it could mean you asking someone that you're uncomfortable asking. Like I have literally gone to people and done barter and trade with them and said, hey, I will give you what I have if you give me what you have, and you teach me what you know, and that way I can, benefit. But that is a smart way of thinking, right? It's basically saying like, I am not going to hold myself back from whatever limitless opportunities are there for me. So let me open up my mouth and let me be accessible and receiving of people. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not able to receive from someone who's going to teach me, I'm going to block that from the beginning. I see it all the time where someone's like, oh yeah, I want the sale, but I'm like, but you don't have the link up to get the sale. You're blocked. Like you like you literally blocked yourself. Like, and sometimes it's funny because at first I would be like, let me not judge someone by what I see up front. Let me ask them. Okay. So I went through a process where I would go through people's social media accounts and different things. And I would see where they were missing. I would do audits. Okay. And I would see where they were missing things. And I would say, hey, you're missing this link. People can't click this. People can't click that. And you would see how, some people would be like, oh my God, thank you so much. I didn't even realize that was happening. And then a lot of the people would be like, yeah, I know, but I'm not ready for, and da 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 da. And I'm like, so why are you out here promoting things like you're ready for someone to buy it from you if you're not going to receive? There are people right now with pain points and things that are heavy on their heart right now about their business, that they're crying in their pillows at night, and they're like, I wish I had Allegra, I wish I had an Emma, because I don't know what to do. And how much of a disservice would it be for us to come here and just to talk you down and to say this, you're this and you're that and you're this, and you're like, I know, and then at the end of the live we're like, all right, bye. And then you're like, what do I do? Right? Like what do I do to get the results? And so there are so many of us that are so blocked with this energy because we think, it's going to be hard to get the business off the ground. It's going to be hard to get the sale. It's going to be hard to have that conversation. And listen, if you just do it, and I'll mention this last part and I'm going to stop because we have Camille Jones, who is our community member. She does, and she's a heavy part of the Mom Link as well, but she does a 5 a.m. room for us. I say for us because I feel like it's for us because she's amazing, but it's talking about a book reading and it's called Atomic Habits. And I'm just listening to this thing and I'm like, this is so powerful how we have the ability to really do the easy things that come to us naturally without having to try and reconfigure all this stuff. Like there are people that have came to social media and had something that they already did, it came naturally for them that most people will buy, right? It could be anything from, hey, I'll write your white paper for you, or I'll do your blog, or I'll do whatever, right? Like there are different things that people are very skilled at, that when they came to social media and they saw all the businesses and all the nuances, they were like, oh, I'm going to do that instead. That's like, what? So you already have something that you've been doing very well for 20, 30, 40 years. And you're going to take yourself out of that element and you're going to start doing something brand new that you know nothing hardly about, but you see someone else doing it, making $1 million, and now you want to do it. That's working hard because now you're trying to redo something that they did and they spent 20, 30 years doing. And you're trying to do what they do instead of doing what you naturally know how to do easily and just make money off of that.
Yeah, totally couldn't agree more. I mean, a woman came into one of the rooms that I was running a few months ago, and she was talking about how she'd spent all this money on, trying to become a trader. A classic example,
What?
and she's like, "Why am I not making money on this trading?" And I mean, it was very obvious that it wasn't what she was meant to do, that she was just doing it because someone had told her. And there's a lot of promotion out there saying that, just do this Bitcoin, do that thing, do this thing, become this person, become that, just follow these steps and you can make $1 million. And I really don't believe in that because there is a path for each and every person to become wealthy and successful, but it's not the same path for each person. Not all of us are meant to be, into Bitcoin or all of that stuff. And I think that when they sell it, that's what they say though. They say, this you can make loads of money doing this, and people get hooked on that. And this woman, for example, had lost a load of money on it and was wondering why it wasn't working for her. And it was because that wasn't what she actually wants to do. She was doing it because she thought she could make money doing that. Not what she was passionate about, not what she actually wanted to do, but what someone had told her could make her money, so that she thought, once I make the money, then I'll start doing what I want to do rather than doing it now.
Mm,
And, you know, we make it so complicated in our heads. This woman is not unique. I mean, I've done that too. I've seen countless people who also do something similar. So it's a trap. It's a trap that we can all fall into. And just because someone has become successful down a certain route doesn't mean that it's the way for you.
yeah.
Your way is totally unique. Your authentic secret sauce is going to be something unique to you. It's not going to be a duplicate of someone else's thing that has worked for them. So, you know, you're unique. And when you own that uniqueness and you start recognizing the value of that uniqueness, I think that's a big part. We think, oh my God, there's so much value in what he does and what she does.
Yeah.
There's not much value in what I do because it's so easy for me. That's part of it. And we think that we have to do something else. We have to work hard to do something else before we can do what we actually desire. And that's, you know, we got it backwards. And it's not surprising that we've got it backwards because that's what we're taught and that's what we're bombarded with. So if you want something different, if you want a different reality, you've got to raise your hand and create those shifts so that you can go out and show up differently and create a different situation for yourself and really show up different and create different results for you.
That is powerful. I mean, if that's not the key, because if you don't, and listen, if you're listening and you feel like this is where you're at, just drop a heart or something because we get it. Like, I mean, I have been in places where, and Emma, you know, I love the transparency too, where, you know, you feel like, you know, you're a little lost in it all. Um, I, I don't believe that, we I don't believe that people switch over to like the forex trading and the waves and stuff just by happenstance. I think that is part of a real buyer psychology. I think it's part of a real, you know, like, hey, they know that you're always looking for the next thing that's going to make you $1 million, right? It's just a very unrealistic viewpoint of the world because any millionaire that you meet, that's not how they make $1 million. Like, maybe bits and pieces to that to say, like, you know, you can invest and you can learn about investments, but if you're going to do trading and forex and you're going to do those things, don't do it just because it's a new business venture that you're going to make $1 million off of. Do it because you really want to learn it and you want to apply it to your life. That is really working smarter, not harder. And if you think about how, you know, these concepts are created, like you said something, Emma, that kind of brought to light for me that we pivot what we naturally receive in our own minds and hearts. Like, there are ideas, there are things that come to you all the time, like, and sometimes, and that's why I think it's really important to know that you're blocked, because when you're blocked, you don't get those ideas, you don't get that creativity anymore. You're so focused on like, what is everybody else doing, that you are not able to sit down with yourself and say, you know what am I thinking? What is coming to me? Because that is really everything that I have created in my businesses have come from me. Like really, like seriously, like it may have been amplified by something that was going on. And I said, okay, that's a nice structure, right? I look at it like the skeleton, like look at the skeleton of it. Okay, all the skeletons look the same, but the meat and the but we're all created different, right? Like we all have different stuff on us. So I look at other businesses and leather models, that's why we call it modeling, as a way to say, okay, I see that structure. I see how that looks. That looks like that may work for my idea. But your ideas, your creativity, all that stuff comes from within you, and no one can duplicate that because it comes from you. And so when you actually embrace that, that becomes a very, like, it's so much easier because you're no longer trying to figure so much out, right? Because naturally, if it comes from you, it's going to develop from you. I did this with the community. Let's put it like this. Let's put it in real layman's terms, right? The win community, that's what we're talking about right now. there were so many times in the spaces where I was in that I was just like, I want to be a part of community. I didn't say I wanted to create community. I said I want to be a part of community. And because of that, there was just so many things that I ran into that I saw was a problem, right? And it was just like, okay, there's a wall there, and I hit another wall, and and so it created a issue where it was a pain point for me. It was a pain point for me because I couldn't really find a community that was truly authentic and genuine and really could support me in my business as a woman, as a Black woman at that. And I was like, where are the and then here's another thing. I was looking at communities that did have that, but guess what? They weren't active. They weren't doing anything, and they were just like, very stale, and maybe made a post last year. So I had an idea, and I remember the idea came to me, and it was so weird and so scary because it was like, just start doing rooms so that you can build community within Clubhouse around what you are looking for. And this was a download that I got one night. And ask Ariana, because Ariana, my co-founder, she was the one I called, and I needed a witness. It was so crazy. I needed a witness. I said, listen, I have this crazy idea. I don't know if it's going to work. But I was like, I really feel good about it, and I just need support. And this is why it's so important to not be alone in this thing. Working alone is working hard. When you have people around you to support you and to really promote you and to embrace you when you have great ideas, and the right people, not just people, because sometimes we have people around us and they're not the right people. We got to be able to separate ourselves from people. I don't care if it's friends, family, or whoever. I just told Emma a story about my life and how I had to separate myself from really important people in my life to get the results I needed. But you got to be able to have people around you that's going to encourage you. When I had that idea about the Win community, y'all, it was like this little minuscule idea. That was it. Like, look, blow in the wind. And it wasn't until I put it out there to Ari and to other people where it started to like build on this thing. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Now, it was scary, but it wasn't hard. You get what I'm saying? It took work, but it wasn't hard. There's a difference between having to, do things that is going to take, you to really discipline yourself and put yourself in positions where you need to be. Some people consider that hard. That's not hard. That's you getting over your challenges so that you can live a life that's going to be a lot easier for you. That's just a natural part of life. But hard is when you stop yourself from doing that, you stop your ideas, and you try and go the direction that you see everyone else. You don't get the support that you need, like I did from my group. And you end up years later like, dang, I had that great idea. And now you turn around and someone else is doing the same thing that you thought about doing. And you decided to do something else because you thought it was going to deem a quick result for you. And now you're still struggling in that same place you were over a year ago. But that was my story. And now the Win community is where it is today because I wanted to take the easy route and not the hard route.
I love that, Allegra, because courage isn't hard. I think that's really powerful to say. It seems hard when you don't have that courage. It feels hard, but when you've got the courage, you walk through that fear. And I think that's where lots of people get stuck. They get stuck because the fear takes over, and they don't take that action, that the nudge that they've gotten, and they do something else. They do get into busy work, they get into working hard, and then wonder why that's not creating the results that they want. And it's because we haven't listened to, I think, for so many people, we're looking for, step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, when we haven't even taken the first step and listen to that first nudge of inspiration that we got. We haven't acted on that, and we're waiting for step 10, step 100, and we haven't even put one foot in front of the other and taken that first step forward.
That's so true. Emma, for those people who are like, dang, I need to take that step forward, what will you do to support them in that area?
Well, at the moment, until the end of the year, I have a special offer. So I'm offering a clearing session for people. It's and I don't normally just offer this as a one-off, but this is like an actual clearing session where I'll help you clear your top blocks. And it's only $297. So it's such amazing value. And you'll see how quick it is to clear those things. It doesn't need to take long. Normally, people come to me with a specific thing. Really, we can shift that within about 20 minutes. So this is the ease that we're talking about. The easy part is the letting go, and with the
Yes.
holding on, that's really hard work. That's why you're so drained, because you're holding on to something that isn't working for you anymore, and that takes up so much energy. But letting go of it is it's so easy, and it means that there's so much ease can get into your life, and all that flow that's been waiting for you on the other side. At the other side of struggle is the flow. And
Yeah.
that's where we as women are meant to be. We're meant to be in that flow state, in that receiving state, in that attraction state. We're not supposed to be, hustling and grinding and chasing after things and working really hard all the time. And for lots of people that certainly doesn't work for me. And I know for plenty of other women, they might have tried that way, and it gets you so far, and then you're left either with things not working for you, or you're totally out of balance with your life. And maybe you're having success within the financial, but other parts of your life are falling apart. And
Yeah.
my message here, I think our message here, Allegra, is that you can have balance. You can have what you want in all areas of your life. You don't need to choose success in business or success in your family or any other thing. You can have that balance, but that means stepping out of, the normal hustle and grind and working hard vibe that everyone that's promoted out there, and stepping into your flow and allowing what you have to offer the world to emerge. It's like the flower, the seed. It doesn't struggle to open up and become that flower. There's no struggle there. This whole idea of struggle is a human concept. When you look in nature, there's no struggle. It's just even when it gets polluted, or things happen, nature doesn't struggle. It is, it's totally
Mhm.
just there, and life comes through it. Life, the weeds come up, the flowers come up through the cracks, and nature creates its new balance. And that's really what we need to do. We need to start taking taking that from nature and taking it into our lives, rather than trying to impose this artificial construct onto our lives that really doesn't work for so many people anymore. It's an old idea, it's stale. And if you're ready for more, I would say, take advantage, book that call, and do something about it, because you deserve to be in the flow. You deserve to receive, and the world is actually waiting for you to step up and show up.
Mhm. They are. And that's why we do these call to actions. I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about, but I will definitely be sharing more of this story because we had a transparent moment where I had to tell you what I had to do to really get in alignment with myself, right? There are certain things that we have to do to make sure that we are in ease as women entrepreneurs. Because honestly, if we really look at society and the way that it actually puts us in position, we're really kind of taught mentally to always, be the caregivers and providers, and to ignore ourselves and our bodies, and what you're feeling is not really what you're feeling, and what you're experiencing, you shouldn't feel that way about it. And so we want to really bring to terms that. And I love that you're doing a clarifying session, right? Is it clarity session? What do you call it?
Yeah, this is actually, well, this is a clarity session. I'm going to help you clear what your top blocks are. So it's I'm going to help you get to the bottom of whatever blocks you have going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
And that's
very
and
exciting.
but that's why I think it's important, because a lot of times we are operating off of, like I said, from a very early age, I operated off of an intellect, right? And so if you're operating off of intellect, okay, let me give y'all a little bit of an inside scoop. My mom won't mind, okay? Because we got our own thing going on now. But I told my mother yesterday, because she said, did this ever happen when you're young? And that, because we can check ourselves when we get older, right? And I said, what I feel about women, okay, is that we don't operate off of how we feel in our bodies enough. We mostly try and rely on our minds, right? And when you said that a flower doesn't struggle to bloom, we're the closest thing to nature. We birth everything. So when you think about the fact that we actually embrace struggle, it's not even a part of our natural existence. It's not even a part of how we were created. So when I think about some of the things that I learned, and to your point, being able to have that clarity, that clarifying session to say, listen, this is not even supposed to be here. And being more of a lesser of an intellectual, because I hear so many women that's like, well, I just have to be this way because, my job. Like, listen, keep that. Because at the end of the day, that is poisoning you. A lot of times we are even experiencing bodily harm. Like, we're getting sick from the things that we're holding onto. So let's stop being intellectual so much and start leaning more into the body of what we feel. What is going on inside of our body? What do you feel inside of your heart, your stomach, your back? Like these are things that I had to learn, because for myself, even in boardrooms and even in big places, do you know what happens when I'm sitting in a boardroom where we have to make money decisions? Like Emma's clearance session is only $297, right? We talk about these things and people like pay thousands and thousands of dollars for these things, because when you sit in boardroom sessions with people who are going to give you hundreds of thousands of dollars, you have to be able to not be so guided by your trauma. And trauma comes with that whole idea of like, oh, I got to do it this way, I got to do it that way. If you're able to really understand yourself, to lean into your body and to know, to be intuitive and in that moment, and to make decisions based on not only your intellect but also what you feel inside your body, that's going to be the game changer for you. And I think that Emma is going to be just the perfect fit for anyone who's feeling like, I need to have that balance today. Emma, drop your links if you haven't already, because we do have to get out of here. I have to jump on another call. But
Yeah, me
anything else?
too. I've got to jump on another call. Yeah. So I would say I love this conversation. I love this conversation every week, Allegra.
Gets better
It's
and better,
so,
right?
yeah. It's so great to hear the wisdom that I think we both have kind of coming out and sharing it. And yeah, my final call to action for the people who are watching and listening is, if you related to this, make a commitment to do something about it. And one a great way of doing that would be reach out to have that book that call with me, and we can help get you clear about clear out whatever it is that's holding you back from recognizing, acknowledging that, taking that next step so that you can flower in 2024.
I like that. All right. Well, thank you, Emma, so much for joining me as always. Thank you all for joining us. Every week we'll be back. We were a little later today because my schedule was off, but I appreciate you all for being flexible. And next week we will come back at the same time every Tuesday at 12 p. Is it 12 p.m., right? 11, 12. Okay. I can't remember the time frame now because it's like my schedule is so off. go, make sure you follow us here on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook, and also we are on YouTube airing live today. And we will continue to be on these channels so that you can see us. Catch the replays. Make sure you comment and let us know, and share to your friends and family, because the only way we can really heal each other and heal ourselves is to share out of love. All right. Bye, y'all. Have an amazing day.